Now, live. Broadcasting live on StarWorldWideNetworks.com. It's time for The Real Deal. Join the ambassador and special guest hosts as they put together great guests and honest commentary on a range of issues. But one of their main topics will be preserving Native American tributes in sports team nicknames. Also avid fans of music and the arts, and they'll always make time for a great song or two. Now, it's time for The Real Deal. Here's your host, the Ambassador.
Welcome to The Real Deal, ladies and gentlemen, at the famous Star Worldwide Networks in the Camelback Towers, beautiful downtown Scottsdale. We're definitely off the reservation again tonight. With me is my producer, Kyle Pratt, the son of the infamous Dave Pratt. Say hello, Kyle.
How's it going, Ambassador?
Good. Also with me is my beautiful co-host, Maggie from Hong Kong. Say hello, Maggie.
Hi, good to see you guys again.
That's right. JewelryScottsdale.com. You can check out Maggie's jewelry. We got some great guests on tonight. We got investigative reporter from Washington, D.C., Alicia Powell, is going to be coming on here shortly. She's going to give us an update as to what the hell's going on in Washington. As you know, there was a big shooting there today, and we're going to talk about that. And so please consider being a sponsor on our show. Grace Propane, UMaid International. Download the new app. I tried to listen to the show we pre-recorded the other day.
Yes.
And I couldn't listen to it on my phone because I didn't download the new app.
Oh, the new app?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, even if you don't have the new app, if you just look it up on your Safari or whatever, it will come up in a mobile version for you to access.
Yeah, I had some people over at the house.
Yeah.
And, so we were going to listen to the show. But thanks, Maggie pulled it out. She got it going.
Oh, good job, Maggie.
Yeah, I did. Mostly if I see his phone is not working and mine is working. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, no, it's because I didn't have the new app.
Oh, yeah.
And you do.
I don't know. I just download it in the same time. I never download again. Maybe they have new system they can do for themselves.
Yeah, the when you look it up on the just regular internet,
Yeah.
it will come up as a new website for a mobile version too.
Got it. Yeah. Anyway, we figured it out, and
Good deal.
And we had a good time. I want to thank all our listeners all over the country, Native Americans and all Americans, especially the schools that are under fire, and there's plenty of them under fire. This idiot Halbritter, Kyle, has got a commercial that he's going to be playing during the NBA Finals.
Oh, yeah?
And I posted it, so you got to check it out. And it's always against the Redskins. I mean, but it doesn't matter. As soon as it's the Redskins, and he's going to go after the Chiefs. He's just a big grandstand scumbag.
Yep.
And Claudia Tenney, ladies and gentlemen, she was supposed to be on the show tonight. She's a congresswoman from Washington, D.C., upstate New York. She knows Hal Britter better than anybody. And she'll tell you he's a fake Indian. He's a total fraud. And she was going to come on, but she couldn't come on because of the shooting today in Washington, D.C. And we're going to talk a little bit about that here in a minute. But I want to thank the American Indian Center of the Great Plains, and Johnny Leonard and I are principal. And then, of course, Peter McDonald is going to say something to our Navajo listeners on the Navajo Nation. Peter, if you would.
Yate, shas toy sezane, setzelke, sheke the neshike, no kliniki, shidi Peter McDonald, dashne, aska zahon slobet, ani bashin, adots a carne, dashinale, ashi, dashiche, totich in eba, setta, shada halia. Kododi nini deba hanne no kodoy ambassador Dennis Yellowhorse ni yalticho yoswol akoda nini be deba hanne the real deal will yell jo koy hashine land ne says yes yadal lahoda ba lahab lahadal no die do kot eda ebni na hada kisigi kodo the real deal, no. Yahal negi da nini. Jo ede ba honne. Ako ikena slagi sto banda yolnito banda notra Graves Company William la shibe da no Sunday da jo kodo kwishi without di ikena aslau kodo kwichi na long kodo hiji yati.
Thank you, Peter. Now we're going to have Mark Burr. He's my business associate in Washington, D.C. He went to the inauguration with me, and he's going to address all of our listeners in Spanish. He's been all over the world. He speaks several different languages, and a lot of our listeners lost their Native American language, and now they speak their language of choice is Spanish. Mark's going to say something there. Mark, if you would.
Claro que sí, don Dennis. Nuevamente, bienvenidos a nuestra audiencia de hispanoparlantes y a todos nuestros patrocinadores, Graves Propane de Flagstaff y YouMade Internacional de Gallup, Nuevo México, y a todos los radio oyentes a través de la nación y del Real Deal y nuestro anfitrión, el embajador.
Thank you, Mark. Now, my co-host here, Maggie.
Yes.
From Hong Kong is going to say something to our listeners in Asia. And we have a lot of them listening in Asia now, and Singapore, Taiwan, China, and also Hong Kong. And she's from Hong Kong. Maggie, if you would.
Thanks, Chief. 其实这个节目是说美国的印第安人的历史文化。Washington Post 访问所有美国的印第安人，他们都喜欢 Western Redskin Kansas City Chief 这个名字，但是有的坏人呢要改变这个名字。珍妮斯·沃马先生为了保护这个名字，他本人做出了好大的贡献和支持。我们希望得到每一位的参与和支持。珍妮斯·沃马先生还有抽数有机涂颜叫优美，如果有需要打我美国电话6025151073。Thanks so much, Chief, for having me on Real Deal. That's such my honor.
Thank you, Maggie. Star Worldwide Networks, ladies and gentlemen, is the largest, fastest-growing internet radio station in the country. 200 shows, 6 million listeners. Kyle, tell them who's number one.
The Real Deal is.
That's right.
Real Deal.
And that's because of all the fans of the teams that honor Native Americans. And we always want to thank the teams, and we name them specifically, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Washington Redskins, Golden State Warriors, Atlanta Braves, Cleveland Indians, Chicago Blackhawks, for listening and honoring Native Americans by using the names. And it's like I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is a social and cultural genocide to Native Americans with these name changers. This is what was done in Germany to the Jewish people. Burn the books, get rid of the race. In 100 years, Native Americans would just be Americans. This is nothing more than a phony civil rights scam. And the name change leader is this Ray Payday Halbritter, fake Indian. Ask Claudia Tenney, she'll tell you. This guy has about as much business owning as an Indian casino as you or me. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a short break. But Kyle, I want you to get the airlines ready. Call the pilots and tell them to light the fires, kick the tires, and get us over to Washington, D.C. Okay, we're back. Now, ladies and gentlemen, she's been on our show recently. Her name is Alicia Powell. She's a champion investigative reporter, award-winning with World Net Daily, WND.com, out of Washington, D.C. She's originally out of New York. She worked for Rudy Giuliani on his presidential campaign. She's really hitting it hard on the Seth Rich murder case. She's following it closer than anybody back there, and she's doing a hell of a job. So she's here with us tonight. Alicia, welcome to The Real Deal.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me back on to weigh in on all the controversies of the day.
Yes.
It's been quite a day.
I bet. This morning, Claudia Tenney, who I want you to meet, she is an assemblywoman from New York, upstate New York, and this is her first term. She's really a nice lady. She's an accomplished lawyer. And she was an assemblywoman. She's a congresswoman, but she was an assemblywoman for the state of New York. She was supposed to be on the show tonight, and she sent a message to me this morning when I first got up, because it's 3 hours difference, that the shooting had happened. So then I turned on TV. But she also got an email that was circulating back there, and I don't know if you're aware of it, and it said one down, 216 to go. And,
wow.
Yeah, and she sent it to me, and so I sent it out to some friends of mine, and then this afternoon on TV it come out that this email was going out, and it went out to her. So tell us a little bit about what happened from the time you got up this morning, and just take us through a play-by-play, if you would, please.
Sure. Well, I got up this morning to head to work and drop my little girl off at school, and I was intending on putting up our video footage of talking to people in Washington, D.C., in the neighborhood the slain DNC staffer Seth Rich was killed in his neighborhood, and we're going to put that video up tomorrow. And I was reassigned to go to Capitol Hill and get reactions to the shooting that took place at the where members of Congress were practicing for the congressional baseball game that's supposed to take place tomorrow night, would have taken place tomorrow night. I doubt it will now.
No, they said it will. They said it will. It's going to go on.
Oh, well, I'll probably go.
Yeah,
but,
go. You should.
But so I had to make a U-turn, pick up the camera guy and go to Capitol Hill. And actually, before we went to Capitol Hill, we went to where the actual shooting happened, to the baseball field stadium. And there we spoke with a couple of people in the neighborhood. It was pretty vacant. I guess people were kind of shaken by what had taken place just a few hours before we arrived. And I got to say, the reactions that we got from the people on the street pretty much it gives us a clear picture of the mainstream media's narrative that they're pushing and successfully embedding into people's psyche. As far most people just talked about gun control. We didn't get to talk to too many people, but gun control was the topic of discussion. I asked them about whether or not they believe the mainstream media, the rhetoric of the left in the mainstream media, provokes this kind of animosity amongst the American public and the Democratic base, to provoke them to commit heinous acts and to go out and kill Republicans. And most people didn't really agree, and they started talking about gun control.
Right.
And so then we went to Capitol Hill and tried to get some members of Congress to weigh in, and that didn't work out so well. No one was available. And that's what we got today as far as the story goes. I'm sure the rest of our team at World Net Daily is putting out lots of all the details of the story. And basically what we need to put up is footage of all the Democrats who have been inciting their base to go out and be violent against Republicans and conservatives and Trump supporters. And There's lots of footage of that. There's countless amounts of sound bites of Democrats getting their supporters riled up to go out and attack Trump supporters and to hate Donald Trump.
Yep, the one that was sent to me that really stood out, Kyle, was the vice presidential candidate, this Tim Kaine. Just recently. I mean, this wasn't a year ago. This is just a couple weeks ago. He come out and he was on one of the news channels, and I heard it, I seen it. And he was advocating that Democrats need to fight in the streets against President Trump. That's exactly what he said, and I heard it today. Could you imagine if this guy was our vice president?
It's a scary thought.
I mean, he's a sicko.
Yeah.
Well, let's be grateful that prayers work and that we have a new form of media that spawned on the World Wide Web, so that these people, didn't successfully win this election, because we'd be living in a world of censorship. Basically, we see the Democrat Party is trying to incite a civil war. They want people out in the street attacking Trump supporters. They want us to believe that Donald Trump rigged the election and that Republicans are racist and that we're going to take away health care and kill old people. And we can't really blame, well-intentioned people for believing it when it's all you hear when you turn on your movies. It's innuendo about Republicans being evil. And when you turn on music, when you turn on the television, our culture is basically drowning in Democratic rhetoric, which is just hateful propaganda.
Yeah, and you have people like Madonna who wants to blow up the White House.
Exactly. We see these things and they get away with it. If the shoe were on the other foot and a Republican were to have, a Trump supporter supposedly was so violent, yet we see all this footage on YouTube and around the web of people wearing their red Make America Great Again hats, bloodied, right? I can't tell you how many stories I've written of another Trump supporter getting assaulted on the train in New York or getting assaulted in college campuses. And so I just feel that this is nothing new with the Democrat Party. But what is new is we have more conservative journalists who work independently to opine on it. And that's a new power structure that the Democrat Party doesn't really know what to do with except to try to censor us on Facebook and Twitter.
Right. Yeah, they've done that with me. They've called Kyle's dad, who runs this network here, and said, I'm a racist, to get me off the air. Yeah.
Right, we're racist. If you listen to Rush Limbaugh, I'm going to unfriend you on Facebook. How dare you? You betray your race. You betray your people, whatever that means, right? We should just be Americans. But for Democrats, we're not Americans. We're identity politics. And it's just the beginning, right? Thank God no one was killed except the perpetrator, the man who went, 66-year-old man who bought into CNN and MSNBC talking points and probably wholeheartedly believed that Republicans are evil. And probably, just wanted to go and attain justice for America. Who knows what was on his mind?
Right.
But we shouldn't always turn the topic to gun control when this happens, because there's thousands, millions of Americans who have guns who don't go out and shoot people, but we need guns for protection, right? Yeah. And it's in our constitutional rights to bear arms.
Yeah, let me tell you, over 90% of Native Americans own guns, and let me tell you why. Not because, maybe for protection, but they're hunters. They hunt, for food. Hunt deer or elk or whatever, rabbits, but they have guns because they're hunters. And it's over 90%. This is a statistic, that the NRA needs to know about. But the big thing is, if that senator, the whip guy who got shot, Scalise or whatever his name is, if he wouldn't have had his detail Capitol Police people there, this guy could have took out 25 people. It would have been a massacre.
Right. There's children getting ready to go to school around 7 a.m. that time when the shooting took place. There's just a lot of people. It's a very busy neighborhood that's in Old Town Alexandria, Virginia. And so thank goodness we had some good people with guns to shoot the bad guys and the bad guys. And
the other thing a lot of people mentioned, I used to live in the Washington, D.C. area in Maryland, And when you go to Washington, D.C., there used to be signs when you're going down the freeway and you get into the District of Columbia, you cannot have a gun in the District of Columbia. Isn't that right?
No, you cannot have a gun. You can go to Virginia, just a few miles away. And, in this town, you can have one foot in Virginia and the other in Washington, D.C., but you can't have a gun there. And that's why I live in Virginia, because we need to keep ourselves protected. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. And the issue that should really be addressed by our nation is mental illness. And what's creating more mental illness in our country and in the world is the Democrat Party's rhetoric and the culture that they're promoting, right? This culture where you have no identity. You're not a female, you're not a male, you're it's sexual, whatever that means. All these different terms, all this political correctness, the vulgarity of the culture. That's all because of the agenda that socialist Democrats are promoting.
I was listening to Sean Hannity on the way to work today, and he made a great point about the situation this morning where that you can't just get rid of one constitution or a right just because one fool made a dumb decision. It's like I absolutely despise what Kathy Griffin did, but we're not going to get rid of the First Amendment because she was so stupid and made a stupid thing about free speech. Right. It's like this morning with gun. I mean, you can't get rid of the right just because one idiot decided to tried to massacre a baseball game.
Guns don't kill people. People kill people.
Yeah. Okay, well, I can take my car and ram down the block of a congested city street, and I'm killing people. I can go take a hammer and run around and bang as many people in the head as I can in the next 20 minutes right now. And we live in a free country. There's nothing to stop us from doing it. But the real issue at hand is not what weapon I choose to go and chop heads off with. Because we see ISIS do all kinds of heinous things without guns. The real issue is what's going on in your mind that is going to propel you to go out and commit this heinous atrocities. So what's going on in their minds is we have a really bad situation with mental illness that's not being addressed properly from our government or from hospitals. And lots of these mass shooters, I don't know the details about the 66-year-old man who went and shot up the congressional staffers as far as his he's obviously not mentally well, but a lot of these mass shooters have taken psychotropic drugs or have medication changes these medications that make you homicidal and suicidal, and they go out and they're possibly hallucinating and they go and shoot up a bunch of people. So that's one issue that should be addressed. And of course, the other is, what are the Democrats doing to our culture and to our minds? They are they're corrupting our minds.
They are. They're putting fuel on the fire. Yeah. And for example, this guy evidently was a big Bernie Sanders supporter. And he had pictures of Bernie Sanders on his Facebook. He was a volunteer at his rallies. And of course, Bernie Sanders come out today, no, we can't have this violence. I want to be perfectly clear that we can't have this violence. Hell, when he was out there campaigning for a year and a half or 2 years, everything he said was about violence.
Yeah, let's they want us to just forget about the fact that they've been, promoting this culture where we should hate white men, we should hate Republicans, we should hate Donald Trump. Let's forget about all of that and just talk about gun control. No, that's the violence that they're inciting every day. If you go to a Democrat rally, if you just listen to them speak, just listen to Hillary Clinton's speeches. Their goal is to incite anger in you, not patriotism, not, belief in yourself that you can create the highest vision of yourself in this country. Thank God. None of that stuff is part of their rhetoric. All they want you to do is they want to derail you from socially mobilizing, to think that you're poor and you can't make it and that the Republicans are holding you back. And if that's true, well, why wouldn't people believe it's true, right? Every aspect of media and culture reinforces that what they say, what they want you to believe. And we're going to continue to see a lot more of this stuff. We already have, right? People have been attacking people without guns left and right throughout the 2016 presidential election and still on college campuses all the time. But perhaps Democrats are going to try to tone it down a bit in the next few weeks, right? I just heard Rush Limbaugh mention how they were praying the Democrats were practicing for the congressional baseball game in a different stadium, and they actually prayed.
Yeah.
And, they're pretending to think that prayer is important after they took God out of their campaign platform.
Yep.
Right.
So one of my listeners, her name is Margaret Clark Price. She's a Native American. She's been on the show, and she sent me this picture of them praying, and a big caption across it said "hypocrites." This is what it said.
That's great.
Yeah, hypocrites.
They are.
Yeah, they are total hypocrites. They're the ones that's inciting this violence. And you got somebody like Tim Kaine that's a public figure. He's a senator. That guy should be arrested for inciting violence.
And wasn't it the DNC last year? They were planning all these protests and riots at Trump rrallies that were going on.
And they were paying people to go over there. And
so it's nothing new.
Yeah.
We saw James O'Keefe reveal all that, footage of DNC staffers saying, all right, go to Trump rallies and start fighting them so we can keep perpetuating this image that Trump supporters are violent, right? So there are all these undercover liberals out there at Trump rallies,
right,
and pretending to be Trump's, racist.
Yeah, and even Tim Kaine's kid got arrested. Remember that? He got arrested somewhere in Illinois or St. Louis or something for same thing. He got arrested for burning down a car or busting up a building or something.
And I went to a Trump rally, and people there, some people had anti-Trump shirts. No Trump supporter went up and started beating them. They started debating with them, talking, but nothing physical happened until one of them, I don't know, the people started doing something stupid. But
yeah,
here's the thing too. When you go to a rally where conservatives are speaking, which I've been to many over the last 10 years or so, I've been involved in politics, and I've been to Democrat rallies. It's a different feel when you're there with conservatives. It's about love of country, belief in yourself, transcending race. Belief in God, whatever religion you are, belief in God. All of these things, there are inspiring messages that could help us transcend this constant partisanship of hatred that's been been going on in America since, the Democrats have been the party of racism. They were the Confederate party that fought to keep slavery in this country. They're the Jim Crow laws. They are the Ku Klux Klan, and they want to go and get rid of all of the relics of history that prove that, right? They want to rewrite history. Right. But the fact is they haven't changed. They are still the reason why minorities in this country are poor, because they're selling this false belief that you can't make it in this world because Republicans are racist.
Well, what they do with Native Americans is they portray all Native Americans as victims. You're a victim and we're going to take care of you. The Republicans don't give a shit about you.
Exactly. And the fact is you cannot make it on a victimhood mentality. You have to have personal responsibility, which is another core conservative principle, personal responsibility, and the belief that we live in a free country where you can create your dreams. You don't hear these things out of Democrats' mouths. Republicans are racist, and they want to hold you back, and they're taking away health care, and they all start talking like Al Sharpton preaching, and we've heard that, the most inspiring president, Barack Obama, who's the first, mixed race president, that's all he did for 8 years, was sit there and fuel hatred and animosity, despite the fact that he has overcome all of the so-called obstacles that, you can't make it. Well, look at you. You've made it. Yep. Why can't we make it?
Yep. He's just a Chicago preacher. That's all he is. He's one of these guys, activists from Chicago. But look at the crime rate in Chicago. There's more people that got killed in Chicago under his watch than the Vietnam War.
Well, it's also true that wherever Democrats are in power and have been in power for decades, there's high crime rates and there's high poverty rates, and there's lots of statistics to show that. Because they are not interested in bettering the communities. They are just invested in power, ego, and what we've discovered over the last 6 months through the Podesta's campaign emails, the Satanism. And that might sound harsh, but look it up. WikiLeaks proves that they're involved in Satanism. And speaking
of WikiLeaks, what's happening with Seth Rich?
Well, We spoke to lots of people on the street. Well, some people in the street, whoever we could find in his neighborhood yesterday. And we went to the Comey bar crawl last Thursday or Friday. Excuse me for mixing up the days. It's been a busy week. But
okay.
There was that, Comey's testimony, and everyone shows up. And, well, the millennials there, well, this is the most important event in my lifetime. This is the Watergate of our generation. Well, if I asked them what Watergate is, I bet you they couldn't even tell me. But they all believe, most of the people that attended the Comey bar crawl, that Trump colluded to rig the elections with Russia. And
let me tell you, that's a
the
total...
fact is they never heard of Seth Rich, right? Yeah. And the way that they're insinuating Trump and Russia colluded is by, the DNC emails, right? That's how the Trump allegedly rigged the election, by helping Russia get the DNC emails and sending them to WikiLeaks. Well, that's nonsense if Seth Rich was, in fact, the upset Bernie Sanders supporter who sent the emails to WikiLeaks.
That's right. And I believe that. And my good friend Jack Berkman, who I talked to yesterday, he couldn't come on the show. He's busy, but he wouldn't be in this thing full throttle if it wasn't that wasn't true. Hey, I want to take a short break. Can you hang on for a few minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Think
Okay, we're back. We're with Alicia Powell. She's award-winning investigative reporter with World Net Daily, WND, out of Washington, D.C. She's originally from New York. And Alicia, thanks for staying on the show.
Thank you.
You bet. And I got my business associate from Beverly Hills, Alex Agnos. Alex, say hello.
Hello, everybody, and I'm glad to hear that we have somebody special on the show today. I'm eager to hear what's going on with this story. And by the way, our other business partner is with us right now. I'm in Texas right now. I'm in Austin with Bali.
Oh, are you? Okay, good. We'll tell everybody I said hello. But Alicia, why don't you go on there where we just cut off about Seth Rich and then some of the things that's happening and all the reward money that's put up, and the DNC has put up what?
Well, there's about approximately a $500,000 reward for Seth Rich. The Metropolitan Police defined Seth Rich's killers. The Metropolitan Police Department are putting up about a $25,000 reward. Jack Berkman, your good friend, who is the head of a team of private investigators in D.C. looking for Seth Rich's killer, he's put out $105,000. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has put out, I think, a $20,000 reward offer. One America News Network, a new conservative television network, has put out, I think, $100,000 reward. And so basically, there's a lot of money, reward money being offered for Seth Rich's killer. And the DNC has put out $0 reward dollars.
Isn't that incredible?
And then they put a bike rack up for him after he died. And it's not surprising if the private investigator's claims are true. The private investigator who was hired by the family, his name's Detective Rod Wheeler, he revealed to me that Donna Brazile, the former DNC chair, contacted the police department and the family after he went to the police department asking for information about Seth Rich. And also, Jack Berkman, he says that the mayor's office has instructed the Metropolitan Police Department to stop investigating the case. So it's no wonder there's no reward money being offered to find Seth Rich's killers.
Right.
Wow, that's very interesting. What a sad story. It's so sad, that this guy here, Seth Rich, here he was, seeing what was going on behind closed doors. And he did the right thing. He knew he had to put it out there. And he saw some really disgusting stuff. And I'm sure that the Podesta group is going to be all connected to a lot of this as well. I really believe that.
I think that first of all, we need prayer, right? Because we're up against a lot. Like I said, we've all said, repeatedly, we're up against the mainstream media, Hollywood, the Democratic establishment, which basically runs it all. All of these mediums of our culture are basically taking talking points from the Democratic National Committee and Hillary Clinton over the last 2 years when she was running for the presidency. And so we need to actually ask God for help to uncover this, because really, we can blow the lid off this whole thing, right? They're out to impeach President Trump. For what good reason, other than the fact that they're losing? They've been shellacked in this election. They've lost the House and the Senate and the White House. And they're losing the media. They really are, right? I bet you people are getting the news online more than they are CNN.
They are.
Nobody, listen, the only people that are paying attention to CNN are people that are refusing to want to know the truth, because CNN has been caught with so many scandals of lies and fake news and even staging, I mean, just recently they were caught staging these Muslims over in, I mean, oh my God.
Right.
It's just crazy. The whole stage. This is not the first time they were caught staging crime scenes before, these guys.
Yeah, that's why I say on this show that Trump needs to start the Trump News Network and just have.
Yeah, well, here's a problem
people,
with that. Here's a problem with that. Him being a president, I don't think he can have the news network, because then it would be like biased because it's coming from Trump. But
have somebody else do it. And just, because then
an outsider direct.
Then CNN and all.
Let Bill O'Reilly do it. How's that?
Bill O'Reilly.
Okay, where's Bill O'Reilly?
Yeah.
He's just another person who's been a staple of our culture to keep it all together, a culture warrior, in light of all the war against Fox News that we've all been battling for the last 20 years, right? Fox News is racist. Fox News is a talking arm of the Republican Party. And so they lost the elections big time, and now they're resorting to censorship, right? Sean Hannity was the next guy that they were going to pull, right? And so, except if Fox News pulled Sean Hannity off the air, I guarantee you Fox News would collapse, because conservatives, that's the only place that we can go. Now there's One American News Network and there's Newsmax on some cable stations, but really, do we have any other voice on television?
We don't.
Just on television, on any channel? No. So
that's why
97% of all these journalists and all of the people that work in the mainstream media, NBC, ABC, CBS, MSNBC, 97% of them donated to Hillary Clinton. That's a statistic.
Right, and I think 97% of the press pool in D.C., the White House press pool, they all vote Democrats.
Absolutely.
Or they're all liberals. And in fact, some of them didn't identify as liberals or Democrats because the Democrat Party wasn't left-leaning enough for them.
Right.
So that's a poll that was released every year by Politico. And it's different this year with the Trump White House. There's more conservatives there than there ever have been, right? There's Gateway Pundit, and there's townhall.com, and there's WND. That wasn't there at the Obama press briefings.
Yeah, that's why I say on this show that Trump says we got to drain the swamp. He's got to drain the media swamp.
Well, I mean, I really think it's just he can't fight this battle alone. And I don't even think he can trust the people he works with to fight this battle with him. There's so many leaks coming out of the White House all the time. And back to Fox News, right? We see Bill O'Reilly get pulled off the air for sexual harassment. What qualifies sexual harassment these days? Saying a woman has a nice dress? From the same network that has a show called Outnumbered, where there's 6 women sitting there wearing the shortest skirts and crossing their legs with one man sitting in the middle. Like, what is that, right? So
Good point.
It's just ridiculous, and it makes me angry because there's not too many people that we have leading this movement of truth and this war for truth that we're facing with the media.
Well, there's very few of us.
I'll tell you a really good thing that's going on right now is the hearings with Jeff Sessions. I mean, Sessions, he made sure that this is a public hearing so the world could actually hear it. Now, here's the thing. You have to watch it online because you cannot watch what CNN or any news network is showing you because they will edit it. They will cut the feed when certain things are coming up that they're talking about. CNN was just recently cut the feed when the Clintons were brought up in this hearing.
Yeah, the biggest mistake Sessions did was recuse himself.
Absolutely. We were all waiting for Hillary to be held accountable.
When he recused
for the Democrat
himself,
Party to be held accountable.
Yeah, when he recused himself, that Rosenstein or whatever his name is, the second guy in the FBI, he took over and he's the one that appointed the special prosecutor, and he's the one that's running the show. And I'll tell you, it was on today, and I agree with them. The guy should resign. And I don't mean no disrespect because he's a good, honorable man. But Trump, they're backing him up against the wall, and they're trying to take him out. And so what Sessions needs to do is honorably resign, and then put a new director, a new attorney general in there, like Rudy Giuliani or somebody of that caliber, that isn't going to recuse himself and is going to just take him on.
Oh yeah, I think that's coming. I really do. I believe that the Democrats are going to back themselves at the corner on this one, on this witch hunt, because there's nothing there on Trump.
But they don't care. I mean, it's all innuendo, and it's like anytime you can't even talk. These FBI investigators and this Mueller, he's getting them lawyered up, and they're all ex-Clinton lawyers. They work for the
We're
Clinton
supposed
Foundation.
everyone cites what the intelligence agencies say about Donald Trump as proof that he's colluded, and the intelligence agencies this and that. Well, these same intelligence agencies, the FBI, they let Hillary Clinton go after because she had no intent to, do all the corrupt things that she did, the treasonous things that she did with her emails and with taking money from foreign countries for political favors as Secretary of State. We're supposed to believe the FBI, who today refrained from saying that this attack on the congressional baseball game was politically motivated. Right. And this is the same FBI that's saying that, Seth Rich was killed during a robbery. Yeah, and we don't know where his computer is.
Yeah, and it comes out Comey's the leaker in chief. He's the leaker.
Right.
And he's supposed to be the head of the FBI. I mean, if I would go in there and I'd make them all submit to polygraph tests.
Comey is apparently now one of the most sexiest men in Washington, right? That's the media story with Comey now.
It is crazy thing. What they're dishing out is like, I don't even get it. And I don't even know why anybody would even watch that stuff. You have to go online. You have to watch everything. You cannot watch the mainstream media right now at all. It's complete lies. It's completely pushed propaganda.
Well, I think propaganda. We need to watch it. We need to dissect the propaganda that they're pushing. We have to understand our enemy to defeat them, and we can't just sit and let them spew their points without retaliating, at least with our own communications. I think the Republican Party and conservatives need to do a better job of disintegrating all the BS that the mainstream media constantly pushes out, whether it's racism, whether it's Trump Comey allegations. We don't see Republicans coming out and talking about Seth Rich. Well, why are we talking about Trump colluding with Russia with emails at all and not investigating Seth Rich? It doesn't make any sense. It does make sense if you include the variable that they don't want that information to come out. And some of these Republicans are obstructionists as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the big problems. For a fact that you have definitely have Republicans that are working with the Democrats. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
Just look at Ron Paul. Look at Paul Ryan, and look at John McCain, who actually came out and said that the world had better leadership under Obama than President Trump, right? And he's the one who gave that dossier he's the one that handed that dossier to the intelligence agencies, that made-up dossier, golden shower dossier.
Yeah, he's a
nonsense,
leaker.
fake news.
I'll guarantee you he's a leaker. I'll guarantee you McCain is a leaker.
Well, absolutely.
And we
already know about McCain.
He's our senator from here in Arizona, Alicia, and how in the hell he got reelected is beyond me. I guess nobody run against him. That's the only thing I can think.
Okay, well, how the heck was he the Republican nominee in 2008 when we had good folks like Rudy Giuliani running against this maverick who sides with liberals, right? So how did that happen? Because the liberal media picked our candidate. And Trump was able to surpass. Yeah, look at Romney. He was another one who proved his true colors.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, the thing that worries about me, this special prosecutor's got to go. And I called Washington to D.C. today and left messages for what it was worth, that it's a waste of money, and it's a waste of time, and it's a witch hunt. But look, these guys like Paul Ryan, McConnell, and all these establishment politicians, they want that prosecutor there. They want to say, oh, no, we don't want any appearance that we've got to make it look like it's fair. That's bullshit. Those guys want that special prosecutor there because they're against Trump. They've always been against Trump.
They've always been against Trump. Were you supposed to forget all the ways they tried to slander Donald Trump throughout the presidential election? It's only because there's alternative sources of information that President Trump was able to win, right? That we can watch his speeches live on air, streaming on YouTube, and hear what he says out his mouth without going through the echo chamber of the Democrat Party called CNN and MSNBC in Hollywood and Leonardo DiCaprio and every other famous person, Beyonce and Jay-Z.
Yeah, no, that's true. But they're all against him. And it's what I say on the show. These guys, once they get elected, and that's why we need term limits. Once they get elected, whether they're Republicans, Democrats, whatever they are, and they say, oh, yeah, we're going to take care of you. We're going to take care of Native Americans. Don't you worry. We're going to honor everything that we owe you. Once they get to Washington, they're sold out. The lobbyists own them.
Right, and we're going on months and months about this Russia-Trump collusion. If I hear someone talk about Russia, some low-information, non-voter, talk about Russia one more time, I mean, give me a break. But whatever happened with Obama and the IRS, targeting conservative groups, right? Whatever happened with Obama bugging the Associated Press and Fox News reporters, right? Nothing ever became of that because Democrats can get away with it because the people don't put pressure on them because the people aren't aware of the truth. They're just hear the sound bites that the liberal media spews.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're gonna have to wind it down here.
Whatever happened with Susan Rice? What happened to Obama tapping the Trump campaign throughout the presidential election? Even if that's legal, is that ethical?
No.
Yeah.
You don't hear about that. That's not news. That's old news. That's history.
Yeah.
Here's what all the viewers need to understand right now. You see what's going on in Europe right now, okay? It's not happening here because of Trump. Trump is doing everything he can to keep that from happening here.
You even see people in London screaming, they don't want Sharia law. We love Trump. We love Trump.
Oh, it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
And I believe the British election is rigged too. I mean, there's just not as much democracy in Britain as there is here. And now we've got Theresa May in power. And that's not a good situation either.
Yeah, my business associates in London, 20 years ago, they would come to Scottsdale to see me 20 years ago. And we talked about this, and they're afraid to say anything. Because, and I didn't really think about it till lately, they don't have freedom of speech over there.
No, they don't. They're censored. I have friends in London, and their Facebook is actually deactivated. One of my friends who does radio in London, his name's Christopher Everard. He's on the Truth Frequency Network and iHeartRadio. Yeah, he posts stuff about Theresa May's campaign being corrupt, and his Facebook was deactivated. He had to write a letter to Facebook and get it plugged back in. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
But
20 years ago, these guys are staying in my house here in Paradise Valley, and we're talking about that. And I said, why don't you say something? He says, oh, we can't. We'll get in trouble. Because they don't have no First Amendment rights. There's no freedom of speech.
Well, they still have a king and queen. I mean, so who's really running the show there?
Yeah.
And so we have this movement. At least Brexit happened, so that's good. But we have this movement that spawned in America right now, and let's let it be global.
Yeah. And they don't have the right to bear arms. That's why you look at Mexico. How much there's the murder rate in Mexico is off the roof because the people can't own guns. The only people that own guns, the cops, and they're corrupt, and the cartels.
No, but let's not build that wall. Building that wall is racist.
That's right.
I mean, how dare you want a bunch of people pouring into your country unvetted, right?
Yeah.
These people are not vetted. They could be suicide bombers,
Yep.
jihadists, but we should just let them flood our streets like they do Germany and rape us all.
Hey,
we're racist for acknowledging the statistics here.
We got to go because I'm out of time.
All right.
But I want to thank you, Alicia, for coming on. You're our eyes and ears.
It's nice talking to you.
In
Thank
Washington,
you. It's
DC.
a pleasure talking with you all, too.
Absolutely.
It's been a long week and a long day. It's about 100 degrees in Washington, D.C. But
Well, I think it's about
tune
100.
in tomorrow for our footage of Seth Rich at WND.com. And you can follow me on Facebook. My name's Alicia Powell. And,
Okay. Thanks a lot. I'll see you, Alex. I'll talk to you later.
Have a
You
good
got
night.
it. Thank you guys
Bye-bye.
for having me.
Okay.
Bye, Kyle. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Great guest, Akal.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Totally interesting.
Tee up that last song.
I was thinking about parking the other night. We was out on the back road. Me and my baby was just getting right. Our systems on overload. Radio blasting in the front seat, turning out the music fine. We were snuggled up in the back seat, making up for lost time. Steaming windows, zero visibility. Steaming windows, oh, coming from a party. You can wine and dine with the man all night, with good intent. But there's something about the competition on the back row breaks down the defense. Oh yeah, yeah. Steaming windows, zero visibility. Steaming windows, oh, coming from a party. Steaming windows, ain't nobody can see. Woo! Yeah, coming from a party. Oh yeah, check it out. Sound outside the back door, and I know it's just the wind that it makes this other love just a little bit closer and starts things to happen again. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Steaming windows, zero visibility. Steaming windows. Yeah, coming from a party. Steaming windows, and all with the penalty. Steaming windows, coming from a
Okay, we're back. We're at the end of the road here. Great show, Akal.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't she good?
Yeah, it was we got to have her back.
Oh yeah, she's our eyes and ears in Washington D.C. now. She's all in with us. Closing, I want to thank all of our people in the armed services here and abroad, protecting our great country. I'm here to tell the truth and deliver the message. I'm not here to make money. I'm here just to do what I do and try to keep a level playing field. And if it's not for these protesters or these name changers that want to change these names of the teams for their own personal gain, thank God for Dan Snyder, or they'd all be screwed. And Hal Ritter still thinks he can take him down.
Well,
good luck with
best
that.
of luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. So support our show. I'll put on a show for you if you put on a show for me. We need help. HUMATE.com, yellowhorse.us. Email me at info@yellowhorse.us, 602-540-3000 for advertising on The Real Deal. Thank you, Maggie, for being part of the show.
Thank you for having me.
That's good. That's very important.
Thank you.
Okay, Kyle, why don't you tell everybody all over the world that listens to this show why the hell I'm here?
To kick ass and save names, Ambassador.
I'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you for listening to The Real Deal. Tune in to The Real Deal with the Ambassador and special guest hosts every Wednesday at 5 p.m. and on demand 24/7 right here on Star Worldwide Networks.